Well, here we are, and the forge is heating up for round 4. I'm making a lid lifter, and what I'm going to attempt to do, I thought a lot about whether I should try to forge weld these two things together, whether I should do some kind of a scarf, which is where you make a thin piece, a thin layer that fits together so you don't get any places that don't compress when you weld it. It keeps you from having what's called a cold shut. But if I should do some kind of a scarf, or if I should just do what's called a faggot weld, you just weld them straight to each other. I think what I'm going to do is kind of forge this down into a diamond, and then cut a little V on each side of this, just a shallow V, bend it over so that the diamond fits into the V, grind it all down, flux it, get it good hot and weld it. So the first part is to flatten this out and make that little diamond area. So that's what you'll see me doing next. Here's the Well, it didn't take long to go to plan B. Plan B is, I got this flattened out pretty good. I'm going to quench it and grind my scarf into it. So it's got a little angled area there, and the only purpose of that, reason I did it, is to keep flat vertical edges out of the forge weld. So what we have to do now is grind the matching V shape into that, and I may not use that last little clip, but what that'll do is that'll keep vertical edges from being forge welded together, which leads to cold shuts. So if I can grind a couple of V's to match this, going about that way. Let me mark that. Okay. Well, that didn't mark too good, but think that'll work. Mark the center of this piece, and then we got to bend it, or at least that's the plan. So all I did off camera was put a good grinder mark right in the middle of that bar. That's where we're going to bend it. And I switched from not so good charcoal to really bad coal in the forge here. I'm saving the good charcoal for the actual forge weld, so either I'm going to have to clean this fire pot out before we forge weld it, or we may not forge weld it tonight. Either way, I'm going to have to probably clean the fire pot out. But if there's time, we'll get to that. If not, I'm going to bend it, get it ready, and so on. See how quickly I can actually bend it and get it ready. Anyway, here we go. Hopefully it's hot. It's been in there long enough to be hot. Oh, it's hot. It ain't hot in exactly the right spot, but it's close enough. So this is what we built this little doohickey here for. And just put it right where you want it to bend. A little more that way. Let it go exactly like I want it to, but ooh, that's kind of warm. Put it on this side of it. So next, I'm going to heat this back up. Try to fix that on in your welds. So the idea is, and again, I'm just going to get this hot enough that I can shape it around this this other piece. We're not trying to weld it right now. In fact, if it's at welding heat, I'm going to let it cool down a little before I do anything with it. It might be, but it's not. It's just hot enough to work a little bit maybe. But I want this to be tight around the other piece here, and then we're going to flux it. And then we're going to weld it. If I can achieve that. I think I can. Weld right now. That is not enough to get in place for welding. Right there. Now, time to pull this side straight back out.
you may notice that that hook is actually backwards right now. That'll be corrected in the next clip. But this is mostly just me tweaking things, so I'm going to skip through some of this.
There's a little dull blow to it. So we just want to make sure this is kind of where we want it. Like that. The idea is to make that as tight to itself, so to speak, as it can be. But we're just going to go with it like it is for now. Should be hot enough for this stuff to melt. Okay, that's a lot, I know, but it's already popping scale out of there. Nearly popped it right in the face. Luckily I have on my new spiffy safety glasses. Alright, now, this guy now needs to get up to actual welding heat on this heat.
By the way, I did clamp those, the longest bar there, the two bent halves together with a hose clamp, just to hold everything in place while we weld.
Light fast blows. Do it on the other side one more time. And it's cold, but I think that's stuck. I'm not going to try to get fancy. Stick it right back in. It's stuck. It's definitely stuck. All right. Other side. I almost wish I hadn't put that clamp on it. I am going to straighten that out a little because that's in my way. Oh, I thought it was. No good way to do it. Alright. That is welded. Best I can tell. There's a bad way to do it, and I just did it the bad way. I nearly could have broke my weld apart there. But that appears to be welded. Let it cool down just a little. Grind that dang clamp off or get it off of there somehow. And just stay there somehow. A little bit of flux. Other side. Right back in the fire. Good and hot, which is what you want. Saw some of that flux shoot out of there, along with some scale. That's the purpose of the flux. It dissolves the scale, and then all of it just pops out of there together. Alright, that's cool again. Coolish. Do a little straightening. I don't want to straighten until I break something. But got to be straight enough you can hit it. All right. Do a little more flux. I think the next heat, I'm going to really give this a good test. See how we did. Just let that melt and get right on down in there if it will, and it should. Give it a minute. I'll switch hands to do the other card. That is excessive. That's an excessive amount of flux. But we'll worry about the consequences of that later. Right back in the fire. And there are a few consequences of doing that. The biggest one is it makes a mess in your fire pot.
I may say this later in the video, but right here, this is welded. We are not technically welding anymore. What we were doing is working this at welding heat to consolidate the weld. The welding part is done. It was done probably on the first heat, if not the second heat. So for a forge weld to be strong, though, you have to work it and consolidate it at welding heat after it's stuck together. If you just stick it together, it'll peel right apart.
I didn't really intend to forge weld that to itself, but I think I might have partially. Straighten it out. Straighten it out. Even a little bit right there. Straighten it out. That does not look bad to me, but I think I'm going to take one more heat with it. Before I do what I have in mind. One more welding heat. One more good one. And not start trying to push my luck. we may be done here with this, to be honest. I just want that a little, it's not at welding heat anymore, but I'm not really trying to work the weld. I'm more just finishing right now. I just want that a little flatter to match the other side. And straighten that out. Honestly, I think that may be done. You know what? Let's go ahead and clamp it up. Really pushing my luck now, but just a little more angle on that, but I'm not going to get it. So we just bend these way out then. Just like that. Okay, here's the moment of truth. I'm going to grind, cut that little piece right there off. And if the whole thing doesn't fall apart when I do that, we're in good shape. I just wanted to show you guys something. That, if you can see it, is one piece of steel now. So a forge weld, and I'm not saying I did this one right. This is the first one I've done successfully. But someone who knows what they're doing, who does a forge weld correctly, it's just as strong as any other kind of weld. So I ground that down. As you can see, there's our profile now. There's our little legs. And the whole thing sits like that. You hold it by this handle, hook your pot lid rests there, and it sits down right like that on a table or on the ground or whatever. And I gotta straighten this hook and handle part a little bit. So I'm going to do one more heat to do that, but it's welded. I don't think I'm going to do anything else to that weld at all. It's going to heat it up, straighten that, and probably put beeswax on it. And my battery's nearly dead, so I'll post a picture at the end of the video.